get ready to do some trucking here from Charlotte Motor Speedway virtually on iRacing as we welcome you in to round number 7 of this truck series known as the Graphix Truck Series here from the Charlotte Roval. It is, a Monday night here for the broadcast, a Wednesday night for the race, a race that was ran last week, but they are ready to go here tonight for what is going to be interesting, because it's actually something we have never seen before in this series, and that is, a truck race on a Roval. Yeah, that's, obviously something that's usually stuck to the Cup guys and the Xfinity guys, but tonight it is all about these trucks that we're going to see here in the Graphix Truck Series. I am the captain, Chris Scalo. We welcome you in on this Monday evening for the broadcast. Landon Quisenberry, of course, joins us here as we get ready for what is going to be some great racing here on a track that, starts on the oval, goes into the road course, comes back out to the oval part, and it goes into a chicane, comes back out, another chicane, and back out to the track, and that's why they call it a Roval when it is all said and done. But, we welcome you in again to the race here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's talk for a second, Landon. A track that is very unique. You ran it on Tuesday night, and then you came into Wednesday night a little bit open-minded, kind of knew what you had coming up for you, but talk about what you expect tonight out of these trucks.
Overall, just your typical road course racing. There's going to be no competition yellows, which is different for the league because we usually have one, and no sprint race, so they'll be taking the first lap on the racetrack for the first time together. So that's going to be interesting to watch out for those restarts. But, strategy is going to be a big thing. The fuel window is very close to making it a one-stop race, but you're going to have to save fuel. So there might be some guys that try and play strategy on 1 to 2 stops. And the trucks are a little bit faster since they have a pretty much a full-blown setup that we had to get for the trucks for the Roval, since they do not have a Roval setup. So they're a little bit more stable than the Xfinity cars were on Tuesday night, so the lap time should be faster. So it should be interesting to watch.
Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Let's start with the pole sitter, Aaron Davidson, a 122.8. Good lap there for the pole sitter tonight, of course, in the 03 car, and it's brought to you by Put a Cap on That, the pole award for Aaron Davidson this evening, as we get the starting lineup up here on the screen, as Davidson will start inside of Ryan Reeves in row number 1. Row 2, Adam Brady, and he will start alongside Chase Berry there in the 1 truck. Row number 3, Dylan Gonis, the Canadian driver there, alongside Landon, who's here next to me. Kate Ferguson, Ira Kohlhaas, who has won the last 2 oval races, basically, before we went to the Roval. He'll start 7th and 8th. And on the final part of the grid, out of the 10 drivers tonight, Conrad Smallfield, Joseph Murata, and Dale Lee in the 40 car. As the field pulls away here, and we'll get ready for some racing. So obviously you see the track right here shaping up. You go down to turn 1. Of course, everybody knows this corner for Heartburn Turn. If you've watched the last couple years or even Sunday's race here, Heartburn Turn obviously is a very popular road course corner now, I think, for all the wrong reasons. But now you mentioned the strategy here, a one-stop strategy. What kind of thoughts did you have as you entered this race? Because obviously you were right about mid-pack, taking the green flag here. Were you more of like just being patient and running your own pace, or were you all about going to the front?
It depends on the situation, because I'm starting ahead of the person that I'm trying to beat, which is Ira in the 29 truck. So it's either kind of play his strategy and just beat him that way, or even go out and try and get more points to help solidify that points lead a little bit. So I think it'll be changing. I'm probably going to try and see, maybe I was thinking about stretching it as far as I could to see if it could be a one-stop race, but it's going to be very close.
And we shall see how this all strategizes here throughout the race. That's what makes road course racing fun, especially when you don't know what's coming here. Because when you get down here to turn 1, it's the great unknown of a road course race. Now, a couple things I do want to point out. The Zaxby paint schemes that you see on Quisenberry and also on the 42 of Cade Ferguson, those were made by Landon. He talked about this a little bit to me off the track, but paying a little tribute to John West Townley, who unfortunately lost his life in a unfortunate situation last weekend, right down the road here from where I'm at in Athens, Georgia. A tough situation there, so a little bit of a tribute to them. So a very cool thing on your guys' part. So shout out to you guys for doing that.
And they look really good too, so I'm glad the way they turned out.
Yeah, Landon painted both of those, which by the way are Wilder Graphic trucks. So look at it like that. So if you're looking for a Wilder Graphic paint scheme, make sure you check that one out. Going to give you a little bit of a special treat tonight. Going to put the track map over there on the right-hand side for you. I tried to do it Tuesday night. It didn't work too well. I got it to work tonight, so a little cooperation here. You can see what this track looks like. All right, going to bring them off turn number, I don't even know, I think turn 14 or something like that. As they come through the final chicane here in the infield of the track, Aaron Davidson, Ryan Reeves going to bring them to the green flag. Here we go, Roval racing. Everybody clean through Heartburn turn, down to turn 2, over a little hill here under the Bank of America Bridge. In this area here, very technical.
It's super easy to misjudge it. If you go over up in the paint just a little bit, it's going to ruin your exit on the next corner very bad.
Down, I guess, what, maybe the back straightaway, I guess you could call it. I mean, it's not the actual back straightaway, but it's straight. Down through the hilly part of the track, which you would think, wait a minute, Charlotte's kind of flat over here. No, you'd be surprised how hilly it is over in that area of North Carolina before you get over to like Asheville and stuff like that. But through NASCAR turn 1 and 2, down the actual back straightaway they're going to go. 9 trucks actually starting this race. Chase Berry did not take the green flag, it appears. And Aaron Davidson's already driven to Carowinds, right? Isn't that the theme park, I think, over there?
I can't really tell. I can't remember.
Right at the state line there, there's a theme park. Davidson, Gonis, Brady. Gonis definitely showing some great road course skill here as he hops over the turtle. And the other turtle as we complete lap number 1 of 54 laps. Obviously now getting into a rhythm here. Tires are up to temp. Now it's all about just battling who you can battle. Landon, you're in the 5th position right now. There you are in the 75 Zaxby's truck. And it's all about keeping the truck clean. How, obviously, the setup you talked about being custom made, how stable was it?
Pretty good, but it's also kind of hard to overestimate it sometimes and lean on the gas too much, especially through that section. That uphill section is one of the toughest sections on the racetrack. And when I practiced that was the one section I really wanted to nail the most, because if you go too far to the left on that right-hander, the quick right-hander before the sharp one, it can really mess you up. You'll end up in the grass or just over that hill. It's a very tricky portion, but this is pretty good. You just kind of make sure you hit your marks. I personally, when it comes to my road course racing, I love those heavy braking zones like the 2 chicanes. I don't know what it is about them. I just feel like I love going in there as fast as I can and making up as much time as possible.
Yeah, you can hear him down on the 2nd gear there, just kind of taking his time, riding that turtle there in the left-hander. Landed right now about 7.5 seconds back as they go back to turn 1. Aaron Davidson already out to a 2.5 second lead. The battle here is for 3rd. You see Reeves get a little jukey and jivey as the 77 of Brady goes on by in that Ford Performance number 77. Over the hill. Now, the one time I've been to Charlotte Motor Speedway in my life was actually for the Christmas event that they hold here. I took my wife at the time, and see, my daughter was not born yet. We went over here and enjoyed the Christmas lights show that they do here at the Speedway every year, and it was a really cool event. Definitely one if you're in that area to check out.
I've been a few times. They go all out at Charlotte when
Yeah,
it comes to the Christmas lights.
Into the first of two chicanes. This one a bus stop more like. So now third and fourth starting to spread out as these trucks start to kind of give themselves some room, make way for each other. Should mention, again, as Landon said, there will be no competition cautions. It is straight up 54 laps of racing here in this event. First lap of the race tonight was brought to you by Sim Speed Shop. They specialize in custom sim racing hardware. Sim Speed Shops manufacture sim racing hardware utilizing the best components available, as well as mixing in real-life racing components when available. Customize your hardware and rig today, simspeedshop.com. All about rhythm right here. And it's all about rhythm pretty much in the infield part of the track. That's where you hear, like I noticed the first couple of seasons racing at this track, it was all about, oh, this guy was faster in the main part of the track, this guy was faster in the infield. Well, look at the two different technical sections. You got a high-speed section on the outside, and you got to be very careful with the feed on the inside. Davidson already out to 6 seconds over fourth place Ryan Reed, but only 3 seconds ahead of Dylan Gonis, who is there at second. Aaron might be leading this race by a pretty big margin already, but he's not a lack of driving hard. You saw him turn one there. That back end tried to swing around. Look at right there, trying to swing around him. So he is almost, I know he's driving the truck technically, but he is literally driving the truck through these corners.
Yeah, he's pushing as hard as he can to get these laps, lap after lap, which for me, I'd be very uncomfortable in that scenario, but he's making it work so far.
Yeah, I'm on a road course. I'm all about comfort. Just go out there, drive for me, and I know it's not the fastest, but dadgummit, if I could stay on that asphalt, I'll get a good finish.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, as a driver. You have to keep yourself calm at a road course.
Right.
There's so many places to make mistakes. It's like golf. The more frustrated you get, the more mistakes you're going to make. So that was something I had to tell myself in practice. I changed up my line a little bit because I was told by a teammate, Adam Brady, that I, should stay in a certain gear through the infield sections and then downshift in a certain area, and that changed my whole way of driving. And it frustrated me throughout the entirety of practice, and I finally got a rhythm of it and then knocked a second off my time. So you just have to stay calm and make sure to minimize mistakes, but if you do make a mistake, don't let them bother you the whole race.
And that's what it's all about. And going off of what you said there, that's kind of a, I don't want to say common sense or anything like that, but it's something you see in all sports. I'm looking over here to see some issues for Dale Lee over here in turn one. He's just trying to complete laps, unfortunately, this poor guy. I've seen him have some spin outs here and there, but cool looking 40 scheme, I'll say that. I do like the paint scheme on that. You go to any sport, if you make a mistake, obviously it's up to you to determine what happens next. And that's one thing I've learned recently. But if you go out in a game of football, you throw an interception as a quarterback, it's up to you now to determine what your next play is. So if your coach calls another pass play, you're going to throw another interception, it's kind of up to you, when it's all said and done. So it is all about the mental state and the mental attitude of how you approach. And if you make a mistake, it's, the best thing you can do is shake it off and go back at it. Worst thing you can do is make a mistake worse. There's Cade Ferguson, the 42, trying to hold off Ira Kohlhaas in the 29 truck. This is back at the 6th position right now. There you see the tribute there on the tailgate. It's amazing how these cars and trucks can go out here and hop these turtles and it not affect them really too much. I mean, because you hit some of these turtles in like a GT car or an Indy car, and it'll ruin your day.
Yeah, and it's all about comfort when it goes to hitting those things as well. A driver like me, I didn't really like to lean on them too much because I feel like I might make a mistake. But, I mean, you got guys that are actual road course racer like Dylan or even Kay, they'll love to lean up on him. And except that turtle right there, that turtle that Ira just hit has sent me off the track.
Oh, and there he goes into the wall.
Ooh. And then there's another thing I talked about. That uphill section is so tricky because if you arc it too low through that right-hander and get on the gas like Ira did right there, there's a certain part where you just can't get on the gas too hard. It'll send you to the right.
Is that because you got too much wheel in it?
Maybe a little bit of a combination of the wheel and just the elevation change on that certain section of the track. Because that's why I think it's the trickiest section, because if you go too far to the right, you're going to get loose and spin to the right. If you go too far to the left before the entry, then the actual asphalt will start to plateau out to where the downhill section is, and you'll just go flying off the hill and possibly hitting some Echo Park banners like Chris Buescher did a few years ago.
Don't want to hit the Echo Park banners, but unfortunately for Ira there, he's got a little bit of a crunched up soda can there on the right side, but he will be okay when it is all said and done. And Jay says, no, it's not. I think they're off this week or two. I'm not sure when they're getting back on. I got to check with Chris on that. This is actually the LSRL guys here racing at the Charlotte Roval. And then coming up after this tonight, we will have live racing for the NORA Series at Martinsville. That'll be a little after 9 o'clock this evening. So got two races for you here. This race was actually going to be broadcasted last night, but somebody decided to go one-on-one with a light pole outside my apartment house thing. Was it you?
No. Unfortunately, I don't think either party would have won in that scenario. Oh, we had trouble for Gonis. I think he was spun back there.
Oh, yep. Oh, he's got a blown motor or something here. Dylan Gonis with some issues in the 27. That South Park truck. Oh, my God, they killed Kenny. That was a terrible impersonation, but... And something tells me he's supposed to turn there.
Yeah, I think he's ready to take that thing behind the wall because I'm not sure exactly what happened, but that's some pretty
We're about to find out
damage.
what happened to Sheila Brawalski. Dylan's trying to get around Dale Lee. Oh, Dale goes straight to the wall, and oh boy. Miscommunication, we'll call that.
Yeah, just trying to get around a lapper and then...
Oh, look out. Hello, Landon. That could have been really bad.
Yeah, good thing I was in the same Discord channel as him to let him know that I was coming.
That could have been really bad, but so that's going to give Aaron now up to a 10-second lead already on Ryan Reeves now. Brady third, Landon up to fourth, and Cade Ferguson, your top five, who's trying to hold off Ira Kohlhaas. He's got that damage on that right side, but still looking pretty good in that 29 truck.
A really good run for Ira. He definitely put in some practice because I talked to him before the race earlier that week, and he was like, man, I just cannot get this road course racing thing down, and he's looking pretty fast, especially to keep up with Cade. I've raced with Cade for a while. He says all the time he's better on the console games than he is on iRacing, but I say he's still pretty good at road courses, or pretty decent enough to not make mistakes. But yeah, Ira's having a pretty good run. We'll see if it can pay off later, because that guy he's chasing in points is only 2 spots ahead of him right now.
And that's Landon Quisenberry up there in the fourth position. Dylan Gonis has obviously gotten his truck to pit road and going to get that thing worked on and hopefully get a new truck out there as we move back up to the leader 9 laps in. And look at that. You can tell he's got a lot of front brake, because that truck is dancing every time under braking. Up the third gear, up the fourth gear, all the way up to about the line at pit road. Slows it down, and watch the back end. I think he was actually pretty neutral, it seemed like. But in these heavy braking corners, it seems like the back end is dancing. But doing a pretty good job for the most. Oh, Ira Kolas with issues over at the bus stop. Now we got more of a smashed up soda can. Let's see what happened to Ira as he's trying to get up here around Cade Ferguson, as you mentioned. Oh, a little bit of wheel hop maybe. Just a simple spin and he carries on. Meanwhile, battle for second starting to rage on here. Adam Brady looks like he's gone around Ryan Reeves for the second spot. Let's see if Ryan can get back to him here. But Brady getting into a rhythm in that Ford F-150. And you talked about the paint, Landon. It looks like Adam's using actually a pretty good amount of it.
Yeah, it's very tricky because you want to get as far on that paint as possible to get a good arc into that corner, but if you overshoot it just by a little bit, you won't be able to turn back to the right of the racetrack because it starts to lean down with the hill. So it just depends on how comfortable he is, and obviously Adam's a good driver, so he kind of knows that limit, a lot more than I do, and he's just doing a good job. It's crazy how much of the racetrack you can use the more comfortable you get with it. It just surprised me how tricky it was when I came on, because before this, my only experience on a Roval was Daytona. But the difference between here and Daytona is there's elevation change at the Roval on the infield. There's none of it at Daytona. It is flat.
Yeah, Daytona is very flat. Another track like that is Indianapolis, another flat track. But yeah, Charlotte, like I said, the terrain in this area, and that was one thing I learned really quickly, is if you've never been in that area, you might not notice. It is actually a very hilly area. You're right on the outskirts of, the Appalachians and so on and so forth. But you get in some of those areas, you're going up some pretty good hills. And you look right here on the track, you're seeing the same thing. I mean, look right here as you're going up a hill, back down a hill, and there's actually one part of the town of Concord. My in-laws used to live there, so I got to know it a decent amount. You can actually look from one part on a hill where you are by some grocery stores and stuff and look across and see the top of the grandstands of the Speedway from where the elevations all change and stuff. So it's pretty cool. And you're like a good 3 or 4 miles from the track. So watching this fight continue here, Ryan Reeves trying to get back to the 77 here. Shifting it down second gear over the Turtles. How tricky? It seems like that left-hander right there can be very tricky also. Right there, I think it's turn 2.
Oh, it kind of depends. In the Xfinity cars, you can really feel it. That thing, if you let off, it'll start to, the back end will want to kick out and start to drift around that corner, which usually helps out. As we see, there's that area that kind of plateaus off that I was talking about. But you get off the gas and the back end wants to kick out, so it usually helps that turn. But if you do it too much, which I did a few times in the Xfinity race because I was upset and driving the car as hard as possible with a torn up suspension at that point. But yeah, it's tricky, but usually most of the time you can kind of feel when it's starting to come around and you won't have to do as much work. So I think it's has some difficulty, but not as much as the turn that follows it. I think turn 3 is very challenging depending on where you enter at it.
How much draft do you feeling at this track? Because like we're riding on board with Ryan right now, and he's within about a second or so of Adam, who gets a little too hot through those corners there. Caught the turtle. Might kill him here. He did get around him. I was like, did he let him go? I couldn't tell. But right here, watch this. Well, he actually got there a lot smoother. He was very loose through that corner last time by. So Reeves back up to the second position, 14 seconds back. So Reeves about 13 seconds back from the leader, Aaron Davidson. Then it's Brady 1.2 back. Landon Quisenberry's about 18 seconds back. Ferguson 25 back. And then Ira Kohlhaas, the last car in a lead lap, I believe here. Some 27 seconds back as we're 12 laps in to this race here from the Roval here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're going to step away for a quick second, come back, and we will continue racing here at the Roval on the Captain Esports Network.
Butt kicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at www.thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use promo code LSRL for 20% off.
All right, back we are here at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway, Concord, North Carolina. The Roval, to be exact, as we do some road racing here in trucks. And I could not but help but notice, Mr. Landon Quisenberry, the 03 truck has been in a little bit of a fight with the wall.
Yeah, he's got some damage there. I don't know where that came from, but he's pushing it every lap, and he's just showing the battle scars from it. But it's paying off since he has a 13-second lead right now.
Now, for those wondering why he's going so hard, and it's kind of hard to explain, but look at it like this: you're taught one speed, and that's fast. And when you go 100%, you have the speed that you go. So imagine telling somebody who's used to going 100% every lap, every time, hey, back it down to 80%. Kind of makes it hard to do and makes it easier to wreck because, I mean, you're used to going one speed, not a slower speed. So Aaron's going at a pace that he's comfortable with, and that's driving fast. Oh, but look at it like that. That thing's dancing. Check on Kolos back here. He and Cade Ferguson still going at it for the 5th position here. You see Ira's got some right side damage on that 29 truck as he tries to work his way up to the 42. Oh, Ira, hold on. A little too much rear brake into the corner again, and it spins it around. Once again, he gets lucky and doesn't hit anything.
And just deja vu for the last time it happened. He got close enough to the 42 that maybe think about putting a pass up there, and he got in a little bit too hot.
Yeah, it's one of those things where just carry too much speed in the back end, swaps ends. Let's watch it one more time here. Gets on it, and bam, just spins it around. He's trying to hold on to it, but the back end said, nope, we're done. Lazy spin and continues on.
I mean, that bus stop is so tough regardless of what variation you're running it, because obviously the newer version is not really a bus stop. It's kind of interesting. It's like a chicane connected to just a slow right-hander, right. So... but either way, it still keeps this chicane, the front stretch chicane, just as challenging. You know, that was what the fun of the bus stop before was, that it kept all that speed. It just slowed you down a little bit, and then all that speed carried over to the front stretch chicane. Not so much with this one. You have to really slow down for that chicane in order to make it, and it's added even more of a challenge to the Roval. But it's one of the best corners to watch, in my opinion.
And the reason why they changed it was because back in the opening season of running this track, I mean, you had cars almost doing shortcut type versions of the corner to where they would almost not even have to slow down. They could just kind of fly through it.
Yeah, and their solution to that originally was having those tire barriers there, but they just had to put it so close to prevent that it just, any little movement would just cause a huge accident for someone. I mean, look at Bubba Wallace had that incident in the practice sessions where he just nailed those tire barriers, and they had to push him back. So it was a good change by NASCAR, and they still kept the course just as interesting, and it didn't really change too much.
Hence where we have now here on the Roval. So 18 laps in out of the 54 in this race. Aaron Davidson has led every lap so far. As Landon talked about in the race, one stop or two stop strategy. If you're going to go one stop, you got to be able to go another 9 laps or so and get to lap 27-ish to split this race in half. Otherwise, you're looking at a 2-stop race to get to the finish here. Check on a couple other trucks that have had some issues, and right on cue, Dale Lee's off in the grass, but he's hanging in there, doing the best he can, running in the 7th position right now, and the other two, Dylan Gonis and Joe Murata, have not come back on the track, so they'll finish, it looks like, 8th and 9th respectively in this race, but Dale just continued on, logging laps, and realized he might finish 7th, he might get a better finish out of it, but he's out there fighting right now. As Adam Brady comes to pit road, so this is a 2-stop strategy right here. And he's been in a fight with the wall. Here we go, 4 tires in fuel for the Ford Performance number 77. So very tricky about this pit road is how you just hang a left up here at the end. Watch this. Right to the left. And out of pit road you go. Got to follow all the way to the Bank of America Bridge. And he rejoins after a 15.0 seconds, so 15-second stop. So again, everybody pretty spread out now. And this will give us an opportunity to talk about Wilder Graphix. They provide the best iRacing paints and liveries around. If you're interested, you can check them out today on Facebook and take a ride on the wild side with Wilder Graphix. As I mentioned earlier, one of the Wilder Graphix paint schemes right here, the 75. Landon Quisenberry put this paint together. As Ryan Reeves on pit road. Right side tires going on to 93. And we'll see where he pulls away. There he goes. And 15.4 second stop there for him. So again, this is all part of a two-stop strategy race. Of course, the other question is who's going to go one stop and who else will do a two-stopper. Now the leader's on pit road, so Davidson comes in. And the 03 going to get some tires and fuel, maybe a little bit of damage fixed, get it buffered out a little bit. Right side tires going on. So obviously with the other cars being, or trucks being so far back, you know, obviously he's going to be able to pull right back out and be in the lead by some 35 seconds. Now that leaves the only trucks not to pit so far, Quisenberry, Kate Ferguson, and Ira Kohlhaas out of the top 6 right now. As you see, Adam Brady, who's got the fresh tires, coming up on his teammate here.
Yeah, that 75's, he's only keeping up in the high gears right now. He doesn't quite have enough to make it to 27, so he's just going to try and see if he can stretch out as long as he can.
Which could be an interesting strategy because obviously with the slower corners and some of the areas on here, you can save enough tire to get it to the finish potentially in this run. You see all the tribute paints in the, or photos, I guess we'll call it, inside the paint of this truck. And Landy, you talked about a little bit honoring all of his wins at some of the tracks like Daytona. Of course, he got like 2 or 3 ARCA wins, I believe, there. And then he had a couple of actual truck wins. One at Vegas. I'm trying to remember if he had another one somewhere.
No, it's just the fuel mileage underdog finish at Vegas. But yeah, they're all over the truck. But yeah, he was really good at ARCA at Daytona. But yeah, I'm super happy the way it came out. I kept it to where you could, you know, you could just see it and it still look like it's just regular base Zaxby's truck. But if you really looked in and zoomed in closely, if you got like a closer shot of an onboard or something, you'd be able to see every little picture. So I'm really happy that it came out. Would run it more, but I got to keep the Wilder Graphix truck out there too. So
there's a little bit of it you can kind of see in the background of the hood. Look down here, you see the is that the 21 Childress car? I believe that is down there in the bottom right.
I'm pretty sure the Childress car, and then I think the '09 was the right front there, if I'm not mistaken.
If I remember correctly, that was a family-owned car. Can't remember who exactly owned that car.
Yeah, he went around quite a few teams, RCR and that '09 team, and then a few other teams, Red Horse, and then eventually his dad opened up his own team, so that he drove to the end of his career, which was, I think, 16 was the last year he ran.
I believe so, yeah. That's when he got
Yeah,
in the debate with Spencer Gallagher at Gateway, we'll call it.
Yeah, that was a very interesting moment. And then I'm pretty sure he got a concussion from that that altercation, which took him out for the rest of the season, and then ultimately was the last we ever saw of him on the racetrack.
Right. Which you would think it would have been Spencer who got the concussion, because he was the one that was DDT'd into the track, but well, it ended up being the other way around.
Yeah.
23 laps in, just getting close to halfway here in this race. And Aaron Davidson still driving it out of control here. .15 out front. Ryan Reeves doing a good job in the 93 truck. So I'm going to take an opportunity here really quickly. I'm going to go grab the points in this series, and I'm not going to bring up the ones from this week, in case for those who don't know who won this race. But entering this race, this is where we stood in the points. Let me zoom it out there a little bit. There you go, on the screen there for you. Of course, Landon, you led by 5 over Ira Cole. Hosdale Lee was third in points. Adam Brady right there in fourth. Dylan Reed, your top 5. Of course, Reed not here. Bouchard, Massey, Giuliano. So a lot of guys going to fall a little bit in points here after this race. But that is where we stood. As over to the left there, one of the Zaxby cars going around, and that is Cade Ferguson over turn 1. And he gets her going and moves on. Let's see what happened to the 42 here. Out here running on his own. Oh, he just gooses it, and into the wall he goes. It's a little too much throttle, maybe a little too much turning at the same time. Which is very easy to do at a track like this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he wasn't really quite sure what happened when it happened as well. He was just frustrated at that point.
Understandably. You know, you're out there just doing your best and logging laps, and it can be very easy to lose focus, rather by anger or, I mean, let's be honest, if you're out there by yourself, it could be quite easily you lose focus from either just being bored or anything like that can happen. You get distracted by somebody in your house. Anything's possible.
Yeah, I mean, just blanking out. Funny, that reminds me of the Daytona Xfinity race earlier this season. Before we ended up running down that lead pack, and I got up to the front of our pack, I thought I was leading the race. For the first couple laps, they were like, "Oh, we're catching." I'm like, "Catching who? What are you talking about?" And I looked at the leaderboard, I'm like,
"Oh, wait a minute,
I'm 5th? What?" I was like, I was just lost. I did not believe that we weren't the leaders.
Breaking news. No, I mean, we've all had those instances where we get distracted for a quick second, all of a sudden, bam, there's the wall, or, you know, anything can happen like that, so. There's Cade, lap 25, running in the 5th position still, but he's only got 2.5 seconds now over Ivar Kohlhaas. So, again, just 2 laps away from the halfway point. And again, when will these trucks come to pit road? The ones who have not pitted, Quisenberry, Ferguson, and Dale Lee, actually. Meanwhile, the guy that, well, as he turns the thing sideways, I'm saying is out for a Sunday drive. Down the straightaway into, I believe this is turn 4 or turn 5. Back on the NASCAR turn 1.
So the 75 finally came to pit road.
Yep, 75 is in. Here comes Quisenberry. And look at this, get to actually see a live tire stop. Four tires and fuel, 15.1, so not a bad stop for the 75. The cool part about that is when you're the person that sends the video of a delayed race, you actually get to see your pit crew actually at work there, and that's what we saw. So right at the halfway point, these two come to pit road. The team, the Zagsby trucks. Dale Lee also coming to pit road here. So the $1 million question: can they make it on fuel now?
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part, because if they can't, then that kind of ruins the whole point of the strategy. However, though, there is a benefit to staying out this late, because if you stay out this late and you can't make it, unlike those guys that pitted earlier, those guys can come for, they're going to have to come for tires. Right. They're going to be out there for too long. You, on the other hand, will not. You can come in and come for fuel only. And so it kind of adds to the chess pieces on the board of strategy, because that's just how road course racing is. You have so many different things you could do. And
not to mention the fact that you have fresh tires right now. You have fresher tires than these guys. You should be able to gain some track time on all of them. So there's so many different elements that can happen in this race. So take a look. I was going to say take a look at the halfway details and stuff, but yeah, that's on the other telemetry stuff, so I don't have that available for you this evening, but usually we do the halfway recap at this point. I can just tell you that Davidson has led all the laps so far tonight, but it's brought to you by Track Time Entertainment. They build custom driving simulators for the virtual racing community. They manufacture their simulators in Texas using U.S. extruded aluminum. Visit Track Time Entertainment on Facebook for all your sim rig needs and a full lineup of their products. As you see, Brady going by Ferguson, who is now a lap down. So we are halfway into this race here at Charlotte. We'll step away and we'll come back and get you more racing here in the LSRL Wilder Graphix Truck Series here at the Charlotte Roval on the Captain Esports Network.
Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at www.thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use promo code LSRL for 20% off.
"25 laps to go here from the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway on iRacing. Appreciate everybody joining us tonight for the Lightspeed Racing League's Charlotte Roval visit. It is round number 7 of the truck series here, presented by Wilder Graphix. Of course, next week for these guys, they will hit the Kansas Speedway for both the Texas Speedway. All right, mile-and-a-half track, we'll call it. I always get those mixed up. Texas Motor Speedway
this year.
Mile-and-a-half Speedway. They're in Fort Worth, of course, for the round number 8. As we have, 4 rounds left, I believe it is, in the championship race. Of course, counting in this series the Richmond race. That'll be the last race of the season due to the situation that happened a couple weeks ago. But for the Grid Finder Xfinity Series here, they have 3 races left. You'll see the Texas race, of course, Kansas, and then to Martinsville before heading. So that'd be 4 races, I guess. I can't count. I went to school in Florida. That's my excuse, and I'll stick to it. Meanwhile, watching this battle going on here, Ira got by the fuel-saving Landon Quisenberry a little bit ago, and now Landon's all of a sudden on the back bumper here. Apparently Landon getting thirsty with the chicken. He wants some soda, too. But these guys fighting pretty hard, which will eliminate the whole fuel-saving thing.
Yeah, but what's fortunate for Landon, though, is with how late he pitted, he does not have to take tires more than likely that last stop.
So he's getting there, get a splash of fuel, and get going. So thoughts on Texas Motor Speedway coming up next week for you guys? Obviously the different track now layout with the mile-and-a-half, obviously still a mile-and-a-half track, but the different banking and the distance of the corner in turn 1 and 2.
Would it be bad to say I have no idea? I've never raced there, so yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to.
Oh, Brady off track over here.
Ooh.
Yeah, it looks like over near where the backstretch or the infield backstretch. Over in that right-hander. But he's going to continue on and unfortunately fall back from Reeves a little bit. But you were saying?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think that corner is going to be definitely interesting. That's a very interesting.
Oh, boy. Oh, they hit each other.
Big battle for the points, but it looks like the 75 is going to get by. But yeah, I'm not really sure what to expect because I've never been there, but if it's like any other mile-and-a-half, I'm sure that, those same few guys that we'll be chasing are going to be up there every week, and be interesting to watch to see if anyone can stop Dylan Reed and
around goes the leader back here. Hey, just going for a 4-wheel drift through the corner.
Yeah.
That makes sense now why you two were fighting so hard.
Yeah, we had a madman chasing us, but yeah, I think he just ended up doing what I was talking about before that, though, is that section, I think he leaned a little bit too hard to that right-hander.
Oh, hop that curve.
There's that turtle.
Who says he's not going hard?
Yeah, he's pushing every lap.
The one thing I will share, I've run this Texas track plenty of times already. I actually have an ARCA car win on that track. It's weird because obviously in real life that track is still a one-groove track right now. It's slowly working its way up a little bit with the whatever you want to call it, jelly, as one NASCAR driver I know actually calls it, up there at the top of the track. But in iRacing, with the build that they've put in here where it allows you to multi-groove racing, it actually has created multi-groove racing. I've run an IndyCar race at Texas. I've run the trucks there. And one thing that I have learned is that you can actually go up the track a little bit and get some pretty good runs off the corner and make passes. You can almost cross them over because you're almost wide open through 3 and 4 the whole time.
Yeah, I expected to have similar characteristics to Kentucky, which I actually have run, which
Fair.
they pretty much did the same thing at Kentucky, but I'm pretty sure they did it to 3 and 4 instead of 1 and 2. Or they might have done the opposite.
Well, they
raised
modified. Yeah, that's exactly what they did. 3 and 4 is still the same corner at Kentucky. 1 and 2, they put they actually narrowed the corner up and raised the banking up to 17 degrees, so it looks more like a traditional 1.5 miles there, where the 3 and 4 sweeps around still. So you're pretty much at a max speed into a corner that's kind of flat to start with, and then banks up all of a sudden by the middle of the corner.
Yeah, I knew that it was. They pretty much just did the opposite of Texas, which is pretty NASCAR-like. You know, do one and then try it a different way in the other, but same 2 corners essentially.
Yeah, I was going to say, some might say that Speedway Motorsports, who are the guys that own both tracks, might be ruining the tracks by doing stuff like this, but we'll let others decide that. The ones who race and stuff, but otherwise here, we're enjoying our racing.
Yeah, the Roval was a great addition to NASCAR's schedule. I love it. Every single year it's put on a show, and even in iRacing it's super fun to drive. So just a great idea overall by Charlotte Motor Speedway and NASCAR to put this on the schedule.
So the question is, with these other tracks like Atlanta Motor Speedway, where they're using iRacing technology to build this track that's supposed to be narrower, progressive banking, and apparently is going to allow pack racing around this track. Fan, no fan? I mean, what do you feel about? How do you feel about it, I should say?
Well, when I first heard about it and what they want, when they said what they wanted is like a mini plate race, I didn't quite understand it until I started running the next gen cars on here, and then realized they race like a super speedway a 1.5 miles. So I'm actually kind of excited to see, is what they did at Atlanta going to be perfect for the next gen cars? Is going to produce the exact product that they wanted? Because that's something that NASCAR's struggled with, is when they make changes and they expect it to do one thing, it can do the total opposite.
Right.
with the 550 high horsepower, or the high downforce low horsepower package, because they expected it to help tracks like Pocono and Indianapolis with passing, and it did the exact opposite. It just tightened the field, but you just could not pass at all.
Why?
So if it does what it's supposed to, then I'll be a fan. If it doesn't, then I'll have a similar reaction to the current package.
Well, I know what most people want is higher horsepower, because that's what stock cars are all about. The one thing that I have heard, the rumor of it, is that the package is supposed to be somewhere around 615 for the next-gen cars potentially, which could be interesting, and obviously everything would stay the same around all tracks. Of course, next season, you get the new Atlanta Motor Speedway. You get Fontana one more year before they do the remodel. You got a new track like Gateway coming on. And trying to think what else is different next season for some of these tracks. So the question is going to be at that point, it's like, all right, what are we going to see? 615, you get the higher horsepower, but I don't know necessarily if you're going to see the draft at some of these tracks. It might be a little too fast with the worn-out banking. Now, Atlanta, obviously, I mean, hell, in 1997 when the track was flipped and reconfigured, as here comes Aaron Davidson to pit road for a second pit stop. Jeff Bodine broke the track record with 197-mile-an-hour lap, which I probably until this year will stand, and probably will stand still, because with them not under full horsepower anymore, I doubt you're going to see a lap over 195 mile an hour again.
Yeah, probably not. It's very interesting though, because just how many different times NASCAR has kind of tweaked around the packages, but I think they've kind of learned from what they've had over the past decade with the Gen 6, and they'll have a learning curve with the next gen, but it'll be interesting whether or not they'll go back to high horsepower, low downforce like the few years before this, if they keep the current package, or he's even pushing off a pit road. Need to interrupt myself there, but
he's watching the stream right now, so I'm gonna go and throw it out here to him. Aaron, what did that cone do to you? Asking for a friend.
But yeah, we'll see if they keep the current package, go back a few years, or even go back to 2014 and run both high horsepower and high downforce, because that's the package that everyone seems to go back on the Gen 6 cars and say, that's the type of racing we want. But even that had its own challenges. I think the plate racing package they have today is pretty good. Honestly, the best I think it's ever been. But back in 2014,
I'm gonna
well, for me,
disagree. Okay.
I'm a little bit more recent, but yeah, but in 2014, that was probably one of the worst plate packages they've ever had, just because the leader could almost dominate.
Right. I'm going to go back in time a little bit. If you want to ask me what the best restrictor plate package or super speedway package was, I got to go back to the package that unfortunately took the life of Dale Earnhardt. The wicker package that they ran, where they had a little bit of a wicker up on the roof, and I forget what they had. It's something on the rear end of the car, but it created this hole to where, I mean, it was truly pack racing. And, I mean, the runs were coming everywhere, and you were getting passes everywhere, and I thought it was some fantastic racing. I thought even in the Xfinity Series when they ran that package, it was fantastic. But they went away from that and went their own way. But we'll see what this new car can do. I mean, they're trying to eliminate the aero push. They're trying to, try to create side-by-side racing and so on and so forth. So we'll have to see what it all transpires. Adam Brady on pit road right now. Right side tires already on, putting lefts on. As Ryan Reeves continues to lead. He's the first leader not named Aaron Davidson tonight. And there goes the 77. So the second round of pit stops going on right now with 18 laps to go. Want to give a mention to our good friends at Grid Finder. You can, of course, find your place on the grid. They are the home of online racing communities. Browse hundreds of leagues racing on all gaming platforms across every racing sim every day of the week across the globe. You can browse through 1,000 leagues racing on iRacing, Assetto Corsa, ACC, R-Factor 2, F1 2021, and more. If you're looking for a commentator or a streamer for your racing broadcast, or if you're looking for a designer for your next livery, Grid Finder has all the talent in one place. If you like to run a sim racing league, make sure you upload your community to Grid Finder so that you will find more like-minded racers. So you can they can find you also. But it's quick, it's easy, and best of all, it's free. Check out Grid Finder today. So yeah, as Aaron, whose name on here is Ram Fan from Mock. I'm not sure exactly what that means. But he says here, I always go 100% on every lap on a road course. He said, I'll be sliding around loose in my race car in my happy zone. That just goes back to that conversation we talked about a little bit ago, where if these guys aren't giving it 100%, you could spin out. I always remember a theory when I was coaching youth football. I would tell these the kids, I'd be like, look, if you don't give 100%, the chances of you getting injured are more than likely because you're not giving 100%. He explains. Ram fan from Oklahoma. Ram truck fan, that is, not the Rams of, like, formerly St. Louis. So the question is for Aaron, then, is how come he hasn't had a modified truck made of a Dodge? Adam Brady third. There's Landon Quisenberry, clean number 75 truck. He's driven away from Ira by all of 30 seconds. It just tells me Ira probably made another mistake.
Actually, I think a pit stop. He short pitted to see if he can go and regain that track position.
Oh, he wanted to undercut you.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting strategy because more than likely that 75 is going to take fuel only on his stop. So now Ira has to push to now get that time back that he's going to lose on the pit stops.
We'll have to see how that all transpires. You see Davidson back to the front. He has gone around Ryan Reeves, who had a little bit of an off-track excursion a minute ago. Let's see what happens here in the 93. Oh, he takes it a little wide over the grass. And finally into the barrels a little bit.
Can't get out of it. It's that hill. It's exactly what I talked about. You just get too much of that pain, and it just does not want to turn back on the racetrack. It at that point, you have to consent to what the truck does because you're not going to get it back.
93 truck continuing on. No, well, and I respect what he says here. If you put a Dodge logo on a Chevy or Ford, it looks kind of tacky. Agree with that. I am not in St. Louis. I'm actually in Georgia. But I've actually been to Kansas City once. A Chiefs fan myself, and got to go enjoy a game back in 2011 there. Got to enjoy some barbecue from a place that I always cannot remember. I know it's on an interstate up on the northwest side in a shopping plaza, and there's a Dick's next door. That's best I can tell you. I think the interstate's 29, I think. It was really good. It was like it looked like an Olive Garden, but it smelled like wood. And you walk in, it was a barbecue place. Because Kansas City don't play around with barbecue.
It's funny. I did not know that you were a Kansas City fan because I am too.
Oh, there you go.
But,
now,
yeah,
we'll get into the discussion afterwards. I've actually not watched an NFL game since the Super Bowl. But
I'm glad you didn't watch Monday night then.
Oh, I've seen all the games, like not highlight wise, but scores wise. But I've not like watched a game, and it's nothing against the Chiefs or anything. It's we'll talk about off the air basically because I don't want to start a debate here on the air and with others, and because I've had people accuse me already. Oh, because the Chiefs lost, you don't watch football anymore. No, it had nothing to do with that. I mean, Tampa Bay beat the living tar out of that team. But there were some things I saw in that game. Let's just say that, yeah, made me question what the NFL is all about. Anyways,
yeah,
college football's fun now. So Adam Brady there in third, Landon Quisenberry in fourth, Ira Kohlhaas in fifth. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Ira is, well, he's got pretty much 3 of the 4 sides crunched up now. That soda can's looking more and more like it's had a bad day. Let's check back here on Dale Lee. He's actually taking his car behind the wall, so now we're down to 6 trucks on the track. Cade Ferguson now in the 6th position. He is a 2 laps down, actually a lap and a half down now. As he just rolls around here logging laps. He has somehow beaten up the left side of his truck. And he is going to come to the pit road down to 42. As we have 15 laps to go. Again, tomorrow night, the Grid Finder Xfinity Series at Texas Motor Speedway. That'll be 8:30 Eastern Time. We'll have the race live here in the Captain Esports Network with OQ here running that race for the first time ever on Texas Motor Speedway. I might have to give him a few pointers here before he goes on the track, help him out a little bit. As I shared a little bit ago, my first time ever running that track. I actually won an ARCA race there. And come up after this. If you stick around, you're more than invited to join us for the Nora Truck Series from Martinsville. It's their final round before the finals of their playoffs. That series actually follows the exact schedule, full distance races in a truck with stages, with the choose cone, Everything NASCAR is right in that series, so that's an interesting one to watch. We'll have it afterwards. The next thing iRacing will have the choose cone.
Actually, gonna implement that?
I mean, I'm expecting it to. I mean, though it did take them, it seems like a very long time to bring green-white checkers in.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting if they're gonna get the choose cone. They're gonna have to, figure out a way to program that just right to make sure there's none of those, glitches that, can happen.
I think the right way to do it, and this is something if you ever listen to the Door Bumper Clear podcast, DBC with the Dirty Mo Media guys, it's Freddie Kraft, the spotter for Bubba, Brett Griffin,
TJ Majors,
and then what's her name, the little one, Casey Boat, who hosts the show. They talked about it, especially at the beginning of the whole thing. I remember them ranting about it, especially when like the Martinsville race earlier this season, things like that. They talked about how they should go and get the choose cone at 2 to go. Let them come around at that point so that they're lined up at 1 to go and you go green, because obviously everybody's taking their joyous time hitting the choose cone. I think that's probably the way to go here if you're iRacing, if you're going to bring it out. Set up the coding to where at 2 to go, I guess maybe you would code it like an off-track maybe incident type thing. You put something on the track at a certain point that you have to pick a lane maybe. And then you come back around, get 1 to go, and you go green.
Can't wait for them to implement rain racing.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine like if we're running like an oval race at say somewhere and we actually had rain delays? Or if a race got called by the rain?
I think that'd be very interesting and honestly fun. It would be fun and kind of like a little bit frustrating for some people in the league.
It'd be frustrating if you lose,
but
I think the realism of it would make it interesting, because especially if think about the programming. So I don't remember if this was you I discussed this with or if it was with somebody else. Think of the programming element if you had say the Crew Chief app or one of those apps out there you can use. I use Crew Chief when I drive, and maybe sim racing apps or something like that as Ryan Reeves comes to pit road. Imagine being out there on the track and all of a sudden you get a comment come over the air that says, hey, it looks like we're looking at the radar, 10 minutes rain will be here. Can you imagine hearing something like that in a truck and you're out there racing and you got pit stops starting to happen? It's like not changing your whole entire strategy knowing that could be happening.
I mean, that's interesting. And then
right?
You think of just all the other stuff. I mean, especially with this league, it could happen right before the second comp caution. So then you think, oh, maybe I should pit before type thing.
And then you got all the challenging rules that leagues might come up with, the creativeness. Like, for instance, this league has the rule of the whole winner of the race goes to the back of the field after the first comp caution. You know, you might get leagues out there that say that we have to finish halfway into the race. Or you might get leagues that say 3/4 of the race maybe. Or, all right, now you're thinking too much there, Aaron. He said blowing a tire due to wall contact. We already blow tires enough here just driving like idiots. But I do think debris and stuff would be interesting. Or, you know, random motor failures, stuff like that. I don't know if you'll ever see that because, I mean, I hate to say it. You think of the factors of, well, use Landon for an example. You go out there, you're getting ready to run, say, the 600 at Charlotte. You go out there for 2 weeks straight running lap after lap after lap, and you've run like 1,000 laps, 2,000 laps. And all of a sudden you get out there and on lap 10 you blow up. I can just see that being a devil's advocate to having blown motors or some kind of a physical failure, I guess so to say, on the track like that. Now, I do remember Dirt to Daytona, which is my favorite console video game, racing-wise. I do remember plenty of times driving a truck in that game, and all of a sudden my crew chief would come on, hey, your clutch is out, or hey, your brakes are going bad, or whatever, and it was like, oh. and it actually would play a role in your truck. I mean, the clutch would sit there and slip on you while you're going through mid-corner or whatever. As you're on the gas, it would kind of rev up on you, and little things like that. I always thought that was kind of cool.
Oh, that was the cooler part about NASCAR games back in the old days. They made the AIs more likely and prone to make things like mechanical failures for players that just aren't there anymore.
Yeah, what was it? All the way up to what, Heat 5? I think the recent one that came out, they finally put DNFs in the game for our computer.
Yeah, something like that. And even if they look like so artificial. Like the game knew exactly who they wanted to spin out and that type of thing, and you know.
Right.
So, yeah, it's not good. It's better when it's like something like NR 2003 where you'll look and an AI will make contact with someone and they'll go spinning, you know, that type of thing. Love that. Love to watch it. I mean, I still do. That's one of my favorite things is just to watch races on NR.
All right, now you sound like me way too much when I was younger.
Yeah, I mean, that's what got me to think about, being in the booth. It's a good practice because you don't know what's going to happen in that game. Anything can happen.
No, fair enough. And that's one thing that, a lot of people talk about. You talked about the booth thing, and for those who don't know the story, is obviously Landon's trying to, he's trying to work his way up in a career to maybe a broadcasting career. And, of course, I've had my own already myself, and who knows, might still have an opportunity down the road, but I like listening to what Landon talks about and how he does his stuff, and I've tried to help him myself with some things that I've learned. I mean, one thing that you might see people doing one night, and Landon could be one of them, is going out on a Friday night to a local high school football game or something and having a copy of the rosters right there, and who knows, you might see this random 18-year-old or whatever sitting over in the corner of the grandstands by himself calling a football game, and it's like, well, what's he doing? How's he? And he's on his phone doing it in a recorder. Excuse me. Why? Because who knows? He's recording it and maybe going to send it off to somebody like that. So, I mean, yes, it might look weird that we're sitting here calling a race on a simulator or a video game if you want to go ahead and go that far. But, for me, it's a hobby that I enjoy doing on the side. But also, yes, this is the closest I have gotten to my goal of being a race car broadcaster. Unfortunately, now we have short tracks that are closing down or whatever. I mean, the nearest ones to me, obviously, Lanier is now a go-kart place. And then Gresham, which is down over in the Jefferson area, that is closed down now. So there's really nothing around my area for short track racing, or else I would go drive to a track. I mean, I would have to probably go driving. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what track I could go to maybe to call a race somewhere from here would be. Oh, gosh, yeah, I can't even think off the top of my head. Maybe over to Carolina maybe and go Southern or Bowman Gray or something like that, or Hickory would be probably a 3 or 4 hour trip for me. But it's what I enjoy doing, and I'm not ashamed to say I sit here and enjoy video game broadcasting or simulator. So Davidson still leads. Obviously, Reeves second, Brady, Quisenberry, Kohlhaas, your top five. Well, and that's exactly, too, as and I don't know if you're seeing the messages here, but Aaron, who's in here watching on the stream, he's watching himself race here. That's, I think, another feature that gets overlooked in iRacing is when we're out there racing, if you grew up wanting to be a race car driver, which there was that part of me that wanted to do that too, this is the closest thing we get. So, it gets very overlooked when you see somebody wreck or get wrecked, and they are raging like a bat out of hell. It's like, dude, it's just a game, relax. Well, to some it might be just a game, but to others it's like, man, this is the closest thing I've been to real life, and I treat this like life. And unfortunately, I was one of those people for a while. Now I've gotten to the point where, you know what, I enjoy it. If I get wrecked, yeah, I get mad for a second, but you know what? All right, we move on, But this is the closest thing we get. So again, next week for these guys, it'll be tomorrow night, will be the Gridfinder Xfinity Series from the Texas Motor Speedway and these Wilder Graphic trucks Wednesday night. And the goal will be to come back Sunday and do the broadcast from Texas in the trucks like we were supposed to do. Yesterday, but unfortunately I came home from the mountains of Georgia like I always go out with my family, and I knew there was probably something going on when I got a message. I was sitting at a restaurant up in Blue Ridge, and I got a message saying that my cable and internet had gone out, and I go down to right as I get near my place here, and I see the Georgia Power people out working on a light pole with them detouring traffic, and I'm like, I think I know where my cable and everything went. I come home, and my neighbor yells across the street, "Hey, Chris, power's out." So at that point, I was like, all right, I'll try to broadcast. But I went in there and laid down and took a nap because I'm tired from all the work and stuff that I've had recently as we see the pass here on Ferguson. Hence why we're doing this broadcast on a Monday night instead of a Sunday night. Yeah, I was going to say, Aaron is driving this thing like a bat out of you-know-what. Adam Brady looks like going to get a top 3 finish here, potentially out of this, as we have 6 laps to go. So 3 trucks on the lead lap right now. And should mention really quickly here, the butt kicker products, silent subwoofers that deliver powerful and audible bass through your couch or chair. You can feel the crashes and racing engines and special effects and movies and games like that. And if you use the code LSRL at purchase, you can get 20% off the Butt Kicker site. Again, LSRL for 20% off at the Butt Kicker website. So Landon finally says, yep, I'm not making it. Comes to pit road here, going to top her off. Probably about 3 or 4 gallons of Zaxby's chicken grease. That pit guy was definitely very urgent to get to your truck. And there he goes.
And looks very excited about how much fuel he got in there, too.
Very thrilled and everything, yeah.
It's going to be close between him and Ira now.
Yeah, Ira about 6.5 back. Here he comes through turn 1. Heartburn turn through turn 2. Yeah, it looks like about 5.3 seconds. Now, one tricky part that iRacing presents here, and a lot of people don't see this, is when you're on older tires and you go to lead pit road, oh, they're greasy. I mean, you almost got to short shift your way out of pit road. So down the back straightaway, 4 laps to go now for Aaron Davidson, looking for the win here. Let's watch him take a lap around this track here. So we're on board. Here, how careful you just got to roll. Look at that. He gooses it. You see the tires spinning in the middle of the straightaway here. Look at the right-hander. Barely touching the throttle at all. I say that. I don't think there's any secrets other than you're driving a truck like you're on fire or something here. I know one thing, we were seeing how much rear brake you had in that truck. Or front brake, I should say, because you had that rear end dancing. 3 laps to go. Now, last time by, Ryan Reeves was faster. The problem is he's only about 40 seconds back. Matter of fact, there's Ryan back there in turn 3 on the NASCAR part of the track. That's how far back he is. So if you were a track, Landon, and you could go make a Roval out of it, what would it be?
Any racetrack?
Any racetrack.
Gosh. And does it have to be an existing one? Because I know a lot of tracks do have Rovals.
Which is
inside
true.
the bullet. I'm trying to think. That's a tough question. Honestly, if it was at all possible, whatever in the world they could think of on that hill at Bristol
Okay.
might be super entertaining.
Are you saying maybe a rallycross?
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, they go outside of that where the the haulers enter at turn 3 and run up out of there. I don't know. Whatever. If it was ever possible to do it,
That's
they
interesting.
could make one there.
So you'd run the lap around Bristol. You turn right out and under the bleachers, out to the. That would be, now Texas actually has a Roval, believe it or not. If you look on the old configuration at Texas, there's an actual Roval that you can run. I've actually run laps in the IndyCar on it, and I'm like, yeah, because I actually have an IndyCar thing I do on Thursday nights, and I've actually considered putting a Texas Roval race on that schedule. But here they come through the final corner. It's going to be the white flag for Aaron Davidson. About throws it away there in the final corner. Martinsville would be interesting. You have a lot of
that
hills
was
out
another
there.
one I considered. Yeah, the whole parking lot, the whole outside the track where everyone parks, that is hilly. I used to live here, near that region. That's
Oh yeah, I mean you're up in the mountains there, yeah.
yeah, literally just right in the valley between the Blue Ridge and Appalachian. So that's that whole terrain's got a lot of character.
Through the infield one final time for Davidson. .38 seconds up on Ryan Reeves. I've been thinking here as we're talking. I'm like running through all the tracks in my head right now.
New Hampshire has a road course.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That one.
Oh God, he's in the wall. That's gonna leave a mark.
Didn't know that happened on the racetrack during the race. I'd watch out for the two that are paired up on that infield section too, because Adam and Cade are in the same Discord channel, and I've heard at this point they're trying to make it like Martin Truex and Jimmy Johnson in a few corners here.
As Davidson crosses the line, he gives himself the Brett Griffin "What an Idiot" award as he takes the win in Charlotte on the Roval. What an idiot. Wins it by 21 seconds, and now these guys going at it here. Not fourth position.
Really sent it in there.
Yeah.
This isn't
All
for
right,
position.
let's see if we get a
but-
little wheel hop here. Up there's the wheel hop right there. Oh, good. That's a little worse than I mean, Jimmy at least wheel hopped.
Yeah. Oh.
And there you go. So that's how the race finishes right there. So Aaron Davidson wins it. Ryan Reeves second. Brady third. Quisenberry, good fourth place for you. Ira Kohlhaas finishes fifth. Cade Ferguson, Dale Lee, Dylan Gonis, Joseph Murata, and Chase Berry never started the race. So great racing, though, from everybody as Aaron Davidson's going to come over here and celebrate. We'll let him celebrate here for a quick second, and then we're going to take off and go get ready for our next race, which is going to be here at Martinsville for the Nora Truck Series. So final thoughts, Landon, as we go and watch this burnout that's coming.
I mean, good race. Interested to see the trucks on the Roval because that's not something we see in real life, and just ready for the last couple remaining races of the season, and hopefully, unbiased, would like to see a certain person in this series win the title for a second year straight. But overall good race.
There you go. So he wants to, as you see the burnouts in the top three sitting there. All right. Great job there in the race. So, Landon, appreciate your time, man. Good job tonight, and we will talk soon.
Sir, thank you.
Absolutely. You too. And we're going to take off. We appreciate everybody watching here this evening. And for those who want to stick around for the other race, there's another stream in the YouTube page or wherever you're watching right now that you can go click on, and you'll see us go live here momentarily from the virtual Martinsville Speedway. So, with that being said, remember, this isn't just a game.
It's iRacing.
Yeah.